Welcome guys, Snipes here, and today I want to talk about my mid time frame as well as my high time frame outlook on Bitcoin. And I just want to go over like the different scenarios that I have in mind and also explain like why I'm expecting, for example, that the bottom is not in, and also that we got like one more push down before we could see a higher time frame reversal. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the current price action, and then I'm going to talk about the higher time frame one. So, first of all, as we all know, we have deviated our 59K low, and since then have been ranging, or more, we have been accumulating a really clean Wyckoff accumulation model with our PS, SC, SCP Spring, like all the characteristics for a Wyckoff model are given. And as you guys can see, we have been extending to the upside, and right now we are kind of for the first time starting to range around the point of control around here. So for now, I'm kind of looking to trade this uptrend, like price broke back to bullish around here. Wait, let's broke back to bullish around here. So our trend points to the upside, and we left a clean demand PR around here as well as here, and our newest one around 62.5k. And to be honest, I don't really like this one because it's like so deep down. For example, if we pull our Fibonacci level, mm, you don't really want to come down to this point. Like if we come down here, I would actually expect price to even go lower than our spring. So what you want to see is more a bounce from this local demand or even from this. And that's kind of like the two main PIs that I'm watching for now. And besides that, I'm expecting a rotation to the upside just because like we've been deviating the lows over and over again. Price has stacked bicycle liquidity at the highs, and so far everything is pointing to the upside. Like now we unfortunately we didn't sweep all the liquidity, but we had like an internal liquidity grab around here. And after that we've kind of seen like this bullish pump to the upside. But yeah, overall I'm expecting a rotation to the high, and now it kind of depends what we're going to do from here. So having said that, I now want to talk about what I'm expecting on the higher time frame. And if I clean this up, wait, let's clean this up, clean this up, clean this up. Um, let's put this in a folder. Ah, of course it doesn't work. Nice, nice, nice. Let's do it like this. Okay, okay, okay. So, as you guys know, we had like this. I mean, it wasn't a it wasn't a textbook PO3, neither was it a textbook distribution around this high or in this entire range. But as you guys all know, like this was a characteristic move to the downside. Like we always deviate the high, have been stacking sell side, and this basically happened like all the time. And the more important thing that I want to talk about is that what happens like after we take out the um, range low. And as you guys can see, here we pulled back into our supply and then started to continue the downtrend. Here we just smashed through our low and dumped like all the way down to 59k. And now what's interesting around here is that we grabbed the low first and we moved higher. So I was looking at this scenario. However, instead of going lower, price decided to wick the low once and then decided to wick the low again. So instead of going down, it's the first time we're actually accumulating. So that's also why I'm expecting this point to be part of our higher time frame reversal schematic that I know probably going to take place around here, and this is probably going to be our starting point. And um, the other thing I want to talk about is if we compare like what happened in the past to now, you guys can see that like every time we have like this, I mean, it's been the same playbook like 2022. So I'll switch the colors to purple, I guess. Nah, to black. So, as you guys know, we've just been explained to downside, and here it's been kind of the same. Like we have been distributing around the highs, and then you would kind of expect a flush down because we had a lot of um, sell side below these points, but price ended up working the low. You guys can see we worked worked around here, and then actually price ended up going higher. So that's kind of similar to what's happening right now. The only difference is obviously that we took out the main low, and um, now was a little cleaner. Wait, where is it? Here. So like we wick the low, and now we pump to the upside. And what I'm kind of expecting now is, I mean, first of all, probably we're going to see a see rotation to range high. Just looking at the Zweig accumulation model. However, I mean, I got a few different scenarios in my mind. Like the first one is obviously that we end up going higher, take out the high, and then we tap like some supply, let it be around this 68k um, or hidden order block, or even our supply up here that costs like this around 72k that costs us aggressive expansion to the downside. Like could be either of them, but what I'm expecting is like for price to search for one um, supply PI, then price is going to test the strength of the sellers, and after that we're likely going to see a push down again. But what is important here is that now we're starting to leave liquidity, and that's kind of like the next step for a higher time frame reversal. We want to see swing points that offer like swing liquidity in that sense. And now again I want to go back to what happened in the past, and I mean it's basically the same thing. Price always dumped lower, and it didn't leave really any clean buy side liquidity at the highs. Yeah, you could say we kind of have like this internal buy side, but it's nothing like nothing crazy. It's more like aggressive dump to downside, creating supply. So that's basically what happened around here. Why is it not red? So that's basically what happened here. But if we now look what happened around here is that yes, we price ends up testing the supply, after getting this range deviation and kind of this relief to the upside. But what happens here is significant because it's the first time we start stacking higher time frame liquidity. You guys can see 1, 2, 3, and it's like in this compact range compared to here. Like it's really spread out. I wouldn't really count this as one total um, liquid trail, but this is definitely one. And that's also what I want to see now to happen, like for this year's bottom. Like we want to see price to stack liquidity, start stacking liquidity, and then to eventually start deviating the lows again. Of course, it could also be that we end up, I don't know, if instead of taking the high, we price ends up, I don't know, taking like this high, and then goes lower, then of course this would also count because we would have like this main high as well as this low high. So that would be also a possibility. But um, what I want to say is that price needs the buy side liquidity because, as I mentioned in the last videos, liquidity is a price magnet. And for price to move higher again, we kind of need like a reason to move higher. And also, the market makers need like your guys' liquidity for a few reasons. Like the first reason is, of course, to follow their own positions because they can't just or market order in because they have so much money that if they would, I don't know how much they have, but let's say they have like 10 billion, they couldn't just press a market buy order. Price would pump, I don't know, like 10% to the upside and they would get feel like really badly. So what they do is they engineer liquidity, for example, around here. They set all these lows and every every buy order that is stopped out is a sell market order. So if they want to buy now, the new price down, all these longs get stopped out, like the stop loss gets triggered. It's a sell order, and what do they do? They're able to accumulate. Like they buy, they buy up these sell orders, so they are able to buy here, 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 and that's also the reason like why we didn't dump down now because they are looking to accumulate. Like this is actually the start of our higher time frame reversal PI, and not PI, but um, the starting point. And that's like what's really interesting around here. Wait, let me delete this. Damn, why is it so much? Um, yeah, that's like what's really interesting about the price action that we currently have. And the next thing is kind of that, of course, back here we also had like our PO3, um, where we got our range, then we got our manipulation phase, and then we got our expansion phase. And we don't have to get the same thing, like it's just an inspiration market, like the market doesn't do one-on-one what happened in the past, but I think the main characteristics what we can take for this cycle is that one, we need like a big yeah, black swan event where price ends up nuking because of some news. I mean, here it was like the FTX crash back in 2020. It was I'm not sure if this was the bottom, but nah, it wasn't. It wasn't. No. I mean, bio doesn't show the chart, but during COVID, like price nuked down a lot. I think it was like 40% or something. And basically, like a news event caused the bottom. So I would likely expect something to happen here. I mean, we already said like Michael Saylor getting liquidated, having to sell more Bitcoin or something. I mean, he's starting to sell around here. Like he's first sold here. That's why. I mean, it was planned before, but it was like a news catalyst. So he sold here, and now he sold again around 60K. Like he's actually selling at a loss. Was kind of funny, but we need like some news event, maybe some exchange. I don't know, is a big exchange is again going to bankrupt or something. I don't know what's going to happen. Like, and yet I don't trade the news. We trade the confirmation. So we gotta see what happens. But what you want to see in the best case is like a capitulation event. And after that, what's like what we need is to see like oh, we don't need to see, but what we saw here was like a ranging period after we got this huge sell-off. A lot of people lost their belief in Bitcoin. Nobody was talking about it, and you guys can also see that volume was at its all-time lows. I mean, not at the all-time lows, but it was really low compared to the price action before. And that was actually like the time period big whales were able to accumulate because the majority of people like retail left the crypto space. They lost a bunch of money, so they kind of rotated into different assets like gold or S&P 500. So um, Bitcoin kind of lost like its attraction, and people weren't looking at Bitcoin anymore. And that's not really what we're seeing now. Yeah, some people are calling like I mean are like abandoning Bitcoin, but majority are still watching for higher levels on Bitcoin, and that's why like such a flush down would be the best case scenario. Of course, again, I don't know what's going to happen. We gotta see, but if we want to see like a high time for reversal, market makers gotta accumulate. Like they need something to accumulate, and now to get back to this range, why I don't think that this is going to be the bottom. That's going to take us all the way up to like this. Well, would be kind of stupid. But the main reason is like look at the like just compare the time spent accumulating compared to the time spent distributing. Like you can't tell me that in this little range. I mean, of course, yeah, market makers were able to accumulate on this move down, but if we just look at the accumulation around here, this is nothing compared to what happened during since October. Like even this was almost bigger. Wait, how much? It was like 18 days. Okay, maybe not. But what I want to say is just that this is too little to accumulate. Of course, yeah, I can prove with statistics because, of course, the institutions are hiding their data. Like, it would be too easy for us to see how much they are buying around here. But if we just use our logic on the chart, it does make sense that they're able to accumulate so many positions that they are able to squeeze like all the way to the upside. I'm quite sure that here are still a lot of people, or I mean, not normal people, but institutions are still looking to sell around here. And eventually, like, let's say we start to hit this supply PI, and then we start moving lower, like, we're going to get a bigger range. And this bigger range is going to be used to accumulate more positions. And maybe we're even going to take out this low. I mean, we gotta see what happens. But market makers gotta accumulate, and they can't accumulate they can't accumulate the amount of shares that they want to accumulate in such a short time period. So it doesn't really make sense to expect a high time frame reversal from here. If this ends up being the bottom, okay, I'm fine. I was wrong, but um, it does really look like it. And to be honest, we gotta see what happens from here. But as I said, right now I'm going to look to trade the current accumulation, look for LPS trades to the upside, targeting our range high, and from there we're going to adjust. And um, yeah, basically that was it with the video. I just wanted to go over like what I was expecting because I was seeing a lot of people calling for the Bitcoin low to be in, so I just want to make this short video. I hope you guys learned something. To be honest, it would be interesting what you guys think. Like if you expect the bottom to be already in, or if you guys are expecting to go even lower. So definitely write your opinion in the comments, and I will see you guys for the next one. Peace.